everyone, I'm Karen from Pan Intelligence, and in this video we're going to be looking at simple dashboard interactions. Now what we're looking at on screen at the moment is a category, and the name of that category is Human Resources. So all a category is in simple terms is a page of information about a related subject. Now the name at the top here tells us or gives us a bit of a clue about what the information relates to, and we can see, looking at the charts and tables available, it's all to do with the total number of employees, the number of female or male employees, salary increase information. So it's all to do with human resource information. Now we have an icon at the top left here, and if we click that, this is a list of all the categories that we've been given access to as a user. That list depends on the role that you've been given in the system and what categories that role can see, or you as a user can see. So you might see more categories than somebody else, or you might see less. If you need to see different categories, you need to speak to your administrator and they can grant you access if needs be. Now in this list I've got a retail category, and once I click on there I can now see information relating to retail. So I can see how many sales were made using different payment methods, for example. I can see how well the salespeople are performing, what the fraud is in particular stores. And let's go back to Human Resources again for a second. Now you can see once I click that category list, it just slides in and out of view, so it's only there when you actually need it. If I go back to Human Resources, if I want it on screen permanently, I've got a little pin icon here, and that will just pin it to the left hand side of the screen. So unpin again and it slides back away when we're not using it. Now in each category we're viewing something called a category layout, and the layout contains lots of different information. It could be charts, it could be graphs, it could be tables, cards. Whatever information has been built into this category is referred to in total as the category layout. Between each of the different cells, which are what these squares and rectangles are, so we've got a cell here at the top left, another one here, and 4 little cells over on the top right. Each of these cells has a dividing line between them, so you can see where the mouse is hovering here, I've got a left to right divider, and by clicking and dragging this up or down I can make the size of these charts bigger or smaller. I also have an option to go that way, and I can make the ones on the right a little bit bigger, or I can go back again. Now each change that you make on this layout will have a little icon pop up at the top of the dashboard here, and this is an icon that's used to manage this layout. Now the way layouts work initially is everybody that's viewing the Human Resources category usually sees the same layout. Now you have a couple of different options available as a user. You could actually change the size of these cells on your version of this category, and only you will see these changes. So if I want to make this table a little bit bigger, no one else will see that change unless I click this icon and save as default layout. Now everybody else that has access to this Human Resources category, when they log in, will see this change that I've made here. Now that icon you can see has disappeared, and it's only visible when I make a change on the category itself. So if I move this dividing line again, you can see it's back. Now the other option that's available here is revert to default layout. So if you remember the change we made before, we made the 2 cells on the left hand side a little bit bigger. If I revert back to that default layout, it just reverts back to that change again. So remember again, making a slight change on the category, this icon will pop back. Now that icon is permission based, so you might not see it. It depends on the role that you've been given in the system. If you can't see it, it just means that you can't save any default layouts. So let's examine some of the other icons that we can see. We've got a little question mark here, and if I hover over it, it tells me that this chart has help text. And what that means is that when somebody built this chart, they actually added a little bit of helper text to it. If other users don't really understand what the information refers to, they can click this icon and go to the chart information tab tab at the top, and here's the help text. So that might not always be added, it's just a little feature that can be added to charts that just make them a little bit easier to understand. If you don't see that little question mark, it just means there isn't any helper text. Now the other option we've got is hovering over bars, and we can see when we're hovering over them it gives us the information that that bar represents, and we can do the same on pie charts as well. Depending on how a chart's been built, this one you can see has got attributes added to it, so we can see the number that that bar represents by the little tag at the top, or we can hover over it like we're doing here. Now if you want to zoom in on a particular area, you can click and drag on screen and you get a little blue box that appears, and that actually zooms in on an area. So if certain areas are slightly harder to read, you can zoom in on a particular section, and once you do that you get a reset zoom option, and that just goes back to how it was before. We've got an option here that says view in full screen, and that just brings this chart up as in a full screen view, and then we can go back to our category layout again by clicking the X at the top. We have another icon here that tells us that this is a parent chart, and what that means in simple terms is that this pie chart controls all of the other charts in this category. So if I clicked on, if you just make a note for example of these numbers at the top here, and if I click on here managing director role, these numbers and all other charts and tables will adjust to show us related information to that particular job role there. So we can see within manufacturing director role we have 145 employers, and we can see how that split has been made up. Now once we've used that parent chart option, we've got a little reset icon down at the bottom here, and that resets it back to the original chart, so we'll get all of the information back for every job role. Another option that we've got here is this little downward facing arrow, and this tells us that we can drill down using this chart. So if we wanted to see for example more information relating to this particular age group, if we click on it we can see how that age group is broken down. So we can see the employee count by the 31 to 40 year old age group. And once we do that we can see we've got another icon here that allows us to drill down a little bit further. So if we click on another icon we can then see how that's split. So that particular age, how is it split between departments and job roles. Now once we're at the very lowest level, that drill down icon disappears and we have two chevrons appearing at the top right of that cell. So this one allows us to return to the very highest level, the bar chart. This one on the right allows us to drill back up one level at a time. So we can go back up and see the column chart and then back up to the bar chart again. Now we have a little icon here that tells us that there are filters applied to this chart. So in this particular one we're not viewing all of the information, it's being filtered somehow. So if we click on that, it tells us that the chart's been filtered to just show the top 5 employee numbers. So the job roles where the employee numbers are the highest, it's only showing the top 5. So anytime you see that icon you know straight away you're not looking at all of the information. So that's a really quick video on dashboard interactions and how to use categories and save category layouts, etc. Hope you've enjoyed the video.